single best clam pie in America wasn't pulled from a custom brick oven somewhere in Brooklyn. It came from the kitchen of Floyd Cardoz, the Mumbai-raised, Swiss-educated, top chef masters-winning New Jersey-residing New York chef who died on Wednesday at the age of 59. Cardoz debuted the pie in 2012 at North End Grill, the now-closed modern American restaurant he ran with Danny Meyer. The simplicity of the dish belied its subtleties. The bread exhibited a wafer-like crispness. The clams were assertively saline. The chilies lent a soft kick. And on at least one visit, Cardoz substituted the typical parsley with cilantro, an uncommon addition that channeled South Asia or South America more than Italy or the US. The grassy perfume softened the oceanic aromas. Pete Wells, in his New York Times review, said the shellfish pie was so good it might have bested the heralded one at Franny's. For me, it was more than that. It became the version against which I'd compare every other clam pizza I'd ever have. Cardoz's chief legacy was making space for modern Indian fare within the pantheon of New York fine dining. But I recount the pizza anecdote to highlight a larger truth about the late chef. He rarely let himself be bound by tradition, be it that of his native cuisine or his adopted ones. This was particularly true of Tabla, which opened in 1998 as part of Danny Meyer's then nascent empire, and which helped pave the way for a contemporary class of creative and expensive South Asian spots like Indian Accent and Janoon. My food, like my life, is a fusion of many different cuisines and cultures, with subtle Indian accents, Cardoz wrote in his Flavorwala cookbook. At the fine dining temple that was L'Espinasse, where Cardoz was a sous chef, the late chef Gray Kunz reportedly called him Spicy Man. Cardoz said he liked the term, I don't, and that's an understatement, but added that the narrow focus on spices is a little misleading. My cooking is about all the flavors I use, not the just spices. Writer Ruth Reichl understood Cardoz. This is American food, viewed through a kaleidoscope of Indian spices, the then New York Times critic wrote of Tabla in 1999. It was a time when New Yorkers were more accustomed to seeing South Asian fare at a casual lunch buffet than at a prix-fixe restaurant with supplements. Those societal preconceptions likely prompted the following line in Reichl's review. Those who do not like Tabla tend to dislike it with a passion. She described a dining companion who pushed away his tamarind-laced wild mushroom soup, calling it horrible. Reichl countered that sentiment smartly. I have learned to ignore the people who do not like Tabla, she wrote, and awarded it 3 stars. I reminisce about Tabla with other food writers, the way cinematic car chase buffs wax poetic about Ronin. It was a restaurant that was critically celebrated yet somehow underappreciated by the masses, at least in its later years. I often hung out with a banker buddy downstairs at the so-called bread bar, where Cardoz took traditional kulcha bread and stuffed it with about as much bacon as a bodega BLT. When venues like Gupshup sling okra-spiked guacamole, or when Alex Tupac offers pastrami tacos, it's hard not to see in them the pioneering work of Cardoz, whose Tabla set a strong precedent for letting cuisines viewed as cheap and traditional expand into more innovative and expensive realms. Alas, Tabla had a tough time filling its 283 seats, and it became Meyer's first major closure, shuttering at the end of 2010. Cardoz brought his globalist flavor palette to North End Grill in 2012, serving up bacon shrimp burgers with spice-dusted fries alongside fancy French turbot, but he eventually left there too, and went on to helm a Tribeca spot by celebrity bros Dave Zinchenko and Dan Abrams that's not worth dwelling upon.